ServerOrigin's Oath Proxy product is actually it's quite different than most of what you find out there. A lot of people, or a lot of companies over time, have targeted a BGP type approach, or simply kind of brute forcing the attack, whereas they're just adding more server resources and back-end resources to serve through it. And now it's not very cost effective, however it can work. Our approach was to mitigate the attack, actually find a mechanism where the service itself can learn from the attacks, make changes on its own without manual, updates and changes specific for each customer, modifications constantly. Because what you would find is that human error is pretty probable. You get legitimate blocks, higher block rates, and really the system needs to work on its own. And that's what we've built, is we've built a dynamic self-learning mitigation product, which really focuses specifically on mitigating the attack and not just blocking the attack. So our approach is not to go in and whitelist all of your IPs and your office IPs and things like that, and then blacklist countries or anything along those lines. Actually, we don't block anything for longer than a few minutes at a time. Our approach is to tarpit it, to slow it down, to only allow enough connections through, and to do the caching and compression and things like that on our end, and offload it from the actual server. So what you find is that most companies that may have one server or a group of servers, they can triple or quadruple the amount of computing power that they have by adding the Oath Proxy product, because it's a cloud-based mitigation product. We add resources. We allow them to scale instantaneously, upon request or based on the size of the attack. Well, I think there's a lot of synergy there between ServerOrigin and Black Lotus, and we realized that originally on the front end was that we needed an appliance, a mitigation solution, a very solid network to base our product on. If we were going to deliver this product, then we had to have the backbone in place to handle it. And building a data center costs millions of dollars, so that was out of the question. And we kind of needed to bring in some expertise as well. And there's not a whole lot of expertise out there on mitigation. So Black Lotus has actually been around for over 10 years, and they back a product called the Mitigation Pro, which is what they introduced a couple of years ago, or a year or so ago. The Mitigation Pro is specifically part of the backbone for our network. We use it on the edge, whereas a lot of companies would use something like a Cisco Guard. It's comparable to that. The difference really between ServerOrigin and Black Lotus is, I think, the focus of what we do, and we don't really compete in that aspect. And that's been the question that we've been asked a lot, is how what is the difference? Are you reselling for Black Lotus? That sort of thing, and we're not. Black Lotus is a partner, and they're a partner in bandwidth and in data center space. And they had the platform in place. They had spent the money and made that investment and built on something that we felt we probably shouldn't try to reinvent the wheel on. We should just take advantage of what they already had. And what we found in the end was it's the best decision we ever made. The Mitigation Pro is extremely solid. It outperforms any other mitigation appliance that we've purchased ever or looked at or tested. So I think, not to say it's completely perfect, it's very close. And I think we couldn't do our business without it. The normal approach to mitigation was built out of necessity and fear, usually, and that was when large attacks occurred. Most data centers or most hosting providers kind of ushered out the customer because it was affecting all of their other customers, and normally it was, it could be pretty tragic in the amount of costs, and it could literally bankrupt a company very quickly if they didn't get control over it. So what people and companies have found over time is that the normal procedures for dealing with attacks was having to pick up and move, literally moving their colo facility somewhere else that was protected, or buying appliances to go in a colo facility and coming out of a leased facility. So either way, it was a huge disruption in the way they do business. So what we do is we have built a product that was specifically meant for remote mitigation, to overlay a very solid infrastructure or a solid platform, such as the Black Lotus platform or Rackspace software. Anybody out there really that is focused specifically on hosting. So what we do is we try not to compete with those guys. We want to simply provide the assistance, keep their customers up, but also keep their customers with them so that the customer doesn't have to move out and go somewhere else. And that's where we get a lot of our referrals. That's where a lot of our customers, really come from, is larger, hosting companies that have customers that are valuable customers, been with them a long time, never had any problems, but all of a sudden now they're under attack, and that attack is causing impact. So what they do is they refer that customer to us. The customer signs up. We provide the filtering. We provide the front end and the public interface for that customer's website. We remove the ability for that customer to be attacked directly, therefore that data center doesn't get impacted any longer. And in the end, what you find is that that hosting company is able to keep that customer. It can be done in several different ways. You can come to us and say that you want to be a reseller, or you can do referrals. Most of the companies we deal with have come to us at some point with a customer, or a customer is signed up, and then we've had to work with them to get something done or to help the customer get back online. And at that point, they've gained experience with us. So what we find is in most cases nowadays, the hosting companies will refer to us directly. In other ways is that companies come and proactively speak with us and ask us about the mitigation, kind of shop around, and we provide them all of the tools and information, instructions to get everything set up on their end prior to an attack ever happening. The hope is that it's not going to happen. However, at that point they're ready, and they don't actually have to scramble, when the attack is occurring, and therefore delay the amount of time that the customer, actually gets back online.